Pokémon X and Y introduced us not only to our first 3D main series Pokémon game, but also to our first battle gimmick that wasn't just a new take on Pokémon battles. I'm talking of course about Mega Evolution, which to this day is still one of the most beloved gimmicks ever in the franchise. Personally, I like how they look, but I find it a bit limiting. What I really like though is the lore that it brought to the franchise. And with Pokémon Legends Z-A coming out in 2025, well, I'm certain there's a lot more coming. So hey, I'm not so ace trainer, and what about Mega Evolution Z? Let's get into it. So let's start by defining what is Mega Evolution. What does it do and where does it come from? Well, not a lot is certain. The whole phenomenon is shrouded in all kinds of mystery, and that's why Pokémon Legends Z-A might be so important for this. We know that for most Pokemon, a bond between them and their trainer is needed, and their corresponding Megastone. And as for certain facts, well, that's about it. Some Pokemon can do it, others cannot, and why those specific ones can do it and the others can't, we don't know. There are some theories to its origin, but even then it's a little bit polarizing. The first one we learned about comes from the Kalos region and from Professor Sycamore. It tells us that he believes that it all started when the ultimate weapon was fired and huge amounts of Yveltal and Xernea's energy irradiated evolutionary stones or special stones, changing them. There's also a legend in the Kalos region, the same legend that inspired the Tower of Mastery, that the first Pokemon to ever Mega Evolve in the world was actually a Lucario. Still, when we played through Pokémon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, we find out about the Draconid people, an ancient tribe of the Owen region, worshippers of Rayquaza, and former inhabitants of what we now know as the Meteor Falls. They believe that the energy for Mega Evolution fell within the meteorites that plagued the region for thousands of years, and their lore implies that when Rayquaza came to save the world from the natural energy-hungry Primal Groudon and Primal Kyogre, as it had done in the past, it became the first Pokemon to Mega Evolve. Despite this, Xenia herself appears to also imply the ultimate weapon is connected to the origins of Mega Evolution when revealing the existence of different worlds. Still, these two are very different and even oppose each other as Mega Evolution origin stories, which is right on point with Pokemon's very confusing lore. But they can be tied together. You can have the meteorites bringing the energy to the Pokemon world and then the ultimate weapon bringing that energy to light, but it's still not fully explained. But one thing you'll notice is that there's one name that I didn't use in any of these explanations, and that's Zygarde. Which is strange considering I said that Pokémon Legends Z-A will be very important to Mega Evolution. Well, that's because Zygarde wasn't really tied to anything. This mysterious Pokemon is said to always be monitoring the ecosystem and is said to intervene when something messes up its balance. This is usually tied to Yveltal turning into a cocoon and absorbing the life energy of everything around it, or to the way Xerneas releases its energy and shares everlasting life. This would definitely break the cycle of life and death, and thus, it isn't something natural, meaning Zygarde would show up and make things right by literally breaking the aura of those Pokemon. We didn't see it happen in Pokémon X and Y as Lysander's plans failed, but as things seem to be, we'll be dealing with an unbalanced harmony between humans and Pokemon in Pokémon Legends Z-A, which will very likely bring these incredibly Pokemon to the spotlight. What we call the energy from Yveltal and Xerneas, the Dark Aura and the Fairy Aura, is supposed to be what powered the ultimate weapon, and what Sycamore theorizes kickstarted the whole Mega Evolution thing. And so, Zygarde's power to weaken that aura probably means that that Pokemon has some aura itself. This is alluded to in the Pokédex entry for its complete form in Pokémon Ultra Sun that states this is Zygarde's perfect form. From the orifice on its chest, it radiates high-powered energy that eliminates everything. Just like Yveltal and Xerneas can have different effects on what their aura comes into contact with, which we see specifically with Charizard and its two Mega Evolutions, Mega Charizard X and Mega Charizard Y, or Mewtwo with Mega Mewtwo X and Mega Mewtwo Y, it is possible that Zygarde's energy can also have different effects on those affected by it. By reverting the aura of these two legendary Pokemon, Zygarde's aura would become the ruling one, and it is likely that it could do one of two things. Either Zygarde will turn off the power to Mega Evolve by shutting down the Mega Stones used for Mega Evolution, which we don't see happening in previous games, so I don't bet on that, or it will alter the way they work. Since Zygarde doesn't turn off their auras, it reverts them. This would be the perfect setting to introduce Mega Evolution Z, since both X and Y already exist. It would be a great way to introduce new forms in a game where I don't see Kalosian forms existing. Hisui was full-on wilderness, the perfect place for new forms and known forms to exist. But here in Pokémon Legends Z-A, we're gonna be dealing with the already established, albeit less developed, Lumiose City. This would also be a perfect way to give Pokémon from a region that felt a bit unfinished at the time an extra shine. It was always strange lore-wise why no Gen 6 Pokémon ever got a Mega Evolution, but sales-wise it made sense. Pokémon Black and White had issues with locking nostalgia in the post-game, and it was clear that X and Y was going all in on it by giving us a Kanto starter early on and showering us with Mega Evolutions on Gen 1 Pokémon together with some fan favorites from all gens up to Gen 4. Nowadays, Kalos is an established and much requested region. Pokémon Z became a myth in the community. It's the right time to bring those Mega forms to Pokémon from that region. Imagine Pokémon like the Kalos starters, Go-Go, Helioptile, Holucha, Dragalg and many more having their new Mega forms, as well as the legendaries Yveltal and Xerneas having this game's version of Origin forms. That would do wonders to a region that, while loved, always felt unfinished. Of course, I also believe that Charizard and maybe even Mewtwo will get the trio of X, Y, and Z, with Mewtwo hopefully having a good explanation for that. Either way, connecting it to the plot of the game and the mysterious Zygarde could also give us a reasonable explanation as to why we never saw those forms again in the X and Y games that we've played. Maybe someone did something to boost the energy of Zygarde and give Pokemon those forms, or maybe there hasn't simply been any event that made Zygarde expel that much energy. And also, maybe those Mega Z Pokemon are the ones in the 5 plazas that will likely serve as battlefields in this new adventure. Maybe each of these 5 plazas will be directly related to each of Zygarde's 5 cores and they will be directly powering up these Mega Z Pokemon. The possibilities are truly endless, and Zygarde is one of those legendaries whose mystery around it only works in its favor when all we have is a short teaser to guide us. And that is all I have for you today. Just like we got Mega Evolution X and Y from Mewtwo and Charizard, I believe we might see Mega Evolution Z. But what about you? Do you believe Mega Evolution Z will become a thing? Let me know in the comments down below. And now, like the video if you like it, dislike if you don't, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more Pokemon content and also ring the bell so you know when the next video is out. Also, you can become a channel member or check out my merch to further support the channel. I'd be forever thankful for that. You can follow me on social media or check out one of my streams here and on Twitch every day of the week. All the links are in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.